welcome back to another episode of Psychonaut Sessions, your home for all things psycho comics related. Today I want to revisit my original comic love for G.I. Joe. So I've been covering Skybound Entertainment's series of G.I. Joe and Transformer stuff, their Energon Universe stuff by Robert Kirkman. Loving it, and it's really revitalizing my original uh, passion for G.I. Joe, specifically the comics. And I think when I was younger, I of course fell in love with the cartoon and the action figures when I was really young. And I didn't have the access or ability to get many comics when I was young, except for one grocery store. I picked up G.I. Joe comics here and there, um, especially the early stuff, um, the Herb Trimpe stuff. Totally love and adore. But I just kind of picked it up intermittently. It wasn't until kind of like my later childhood that I started being able to like earn money through doing various like yard jobs and stuff like that, that I was able to start collecting more regularly. And this was my jumping on point, G.I. Joe 61. And like for collecting regularly, whereas before I just picked books up intermittently. And man, was it a whopper! It blew my mind. I wasn't like a hardcore collector of the comics, um, except like this issue. It just destroyed my brain. So I'm going to go into this first comic, and I'm also going to kind of go into the entire Barovia saga. This is the beginning of what I don't know if it's an official thing, but sometimes they would have long running storylines, and this one was just very near and dear to my heart. I think there are definitely better storylines in the G.I. Joe saga, in terms of Larry Hama's run, Marvel run. But this one just, really stuck to me, personally, because of for me, it was like my major beginning as a collector. So it starts with G.I. Joe issue number 61. I mean, just look at this cover. This was the beginning of G.I. Joe for me, in the sense of, wow, people actually get hurt. People get injured. People die. And, the intermittent comics that I had picked up, I mean, it was like the early year stuff. Like I said, it's like the early Herb Trimpe stuff, like issue 3, issue 7, which I think a lot of those original ones I actually picked up through Tales of G.I. Joe, which was a reprint of those originals. But immediately you got one of my favorites, on the cover, Stalker, Snow Job and Quick Kick. Whatever, that's fine. But Stalker is definitely one of my favorites, and this cover just blew me away. It's dynamic, it's suspenseful. I love the spotlighting, and just, incredible, incredible. The action in these books was amazing. So 61 is actually, and this is my original copy, so it is falling apart. I mean, it's almost fully tattered to pieces, because I've read this particular issue so many times. Marshall Rogers does the art props on this, which Marshall Rogers is a fucking legend. And so is Larry Hama, the writer who wrote this whole run. Larry Hama just, does not get enough credit for creating all of the actual cool things about G.I. Joe. The backstories of everyone, just I mean, he should, every time any dollar is made, in any kind of G.I. Joe IP property, Larry Hama should be getting a cut of that, in my opinion. So, actually, the issue before this one was drawn by Todd McFarlane of Spider-Man and Spawn fame. And when it came out, Larry Hama did not like it. He was not impressed. And by the time that Larry Hama saw this, Todd McFarlane had already been contracted to draw issue 61 and had drawn the whole thing. But because Larry Hama did not like the artwork, he, in issue 60, he asked for, I guess worked with whoever at Marvel, Jim Shooter or Bob Harris, either of the editor-in-chief or the editor of G.I. Joe specifically, to please get somebody else. Because the G.I. Joe comics had this feel where they were not like the comics, or the cartoon, sorry, they were not like the cartoon, and they very much were trying to go for a realistic feel in many ways. It just like, especially the way the guns were made and the vehicles. And Todd McFarlane, as you can see, this is his early years, and he's just really cartoony, and kind of silly. And I don't really, it doesn't fit with G.I. Joe. I'm not gonna talk shit on Todd McFarlane. I think he's been a great artist, but he's definitely, he's not something that you want to get for something that's realistic. All of his artwork has such a cartoony expression to it. It just doesn't lend itself fully to G.I. Joe. So they brought in Marshall Rogers to redraw the whole thing. And I think you can find the Todd McFarlane stuff out there. It was reprinted. I know Cartoonist Kayfabe did like a comparison. By far, in my opinion, Marshall Rogers is the best storyteller. Every single panel in this comic I have consumed and eaten up and is embedded into my brain and in my consciousness. In terms of the way that I think about the pacing of story, the way panels are laid out, and so on and so forth. 100% G.I. Joe number 61. It's got to be up there as one of my all-time favorite comics of all time. Maybe childhood has something to do with that. I don't know. All right. So story. So we got General Hawk here with Snowjob, Quick Kick, Stalker, and Outback. Snowjob and Outback look very similar, except Outback you can always recognize with the headband. They're actually going to be doing an undercover mission in the country of Barovia, where a reporter was reporting against Barovia. Barovia was kind of like the stand-in for communist Russia at this time, so they could talk shit on communism and Eastern European nations and that were under the sway of communism and stuff like that. And so they're going to go undercover to rescue this journalist because he was a pro-democracy journalist, and the powers that be really want him to be rescued, taken care of. Side story is, this has been going on for a while. Cobra Commander has a son named Billy, and there was this thing that had been happening up to this point where Billy received amnesia, and he was a good guy. He was involved with all the like ninja clans that are associated to the G.I. Joe universe. And Billy waking up from amnesia from this wreck, and he's got like a fake leg, he's got an eye patch, is trying to connect with Cobra Commander, and Cobra Commander and team are trying to sway Billy over to the Cobra side. Now, Cobra Commander is kind of in hiding at this point because there was an episode that happened long ago where him and Destro were on the run. He's been hiding out with Fred the Seventh, who is a Crimson Guard clone, and the Falconer, or I can't remember the Falcon guy's name. He's really dorky, but so they're trying to convince Billy to come over to the side, and they even to the point of like, now he's gonna leave, and then Fred threatens him, and Billy kicks his ass because Billy is an awesome ninja, and he also threatens the Falcon dude who is trying to threaten him with birds, whatever. So it's just really cool, just really well done, really gorgeous work. And then even Cobra Commander is like, no, we can't let you leave. You know where we are. But Cobra Commander, something changes in him here and lets Billy go. And of course, they're pissed off about that. So moving on to Barovia. Each of these individuals went undercover as some sort of like attaché, whatever. We've got a guy who is their kind of like CIA intelligence gatherer. He knows everything there that they need to know. So they're meeting in a hotel. Quick Kick, Snow Job, Stalker, Outback, and they're making plans to go in at this particular building where the reporter is being held, the journalist is being held. They're going to go in through the back. All just really well laid out, really well written. And then here's like the thing, these guns just look real. They have a heaviness to them. There's just a reality. They're not laser guns. They're not cartoony marshmallow guns. And then here we get an interaction between Billy and Jinx. Billy is trying to remember things, and rediscover his connection with the ninja clans. And then we've got this scenario where Fred is upset at Cobra Commander. They're arguing. Cobra Commander takes his helmet off. Now, this is not the first time that we've seen Cobra Commander's face. It actually happened quite a few issues ago. But this was the first time I had ever seen Cobra Commander's face. It blew my mind. It absolutely blew my mind. I think that's why this sticks out to me so much, because to finally see Cobra Commander under the hood inspired me. It thrilled me. It excited me. When the G.I. Joe cartoon, the movie came out, and they kind of made Cobra Commander a Cobra Law person and everything, I was like, no, 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 no. This is Cobra Commander. And Cobra Commander decides he's going to give up. He's going to give up the fight. He's done. He's seen the light. He wants to be a father to Billy. Throws off his armor. Fred's like, we can't have that. Boom. Kills Cobra Commander. It's like my first time for me as a kid seeing Cobra Commander, and boom, he's just killed him. So not only, all of this happening in this one issue, I'm just like, what? Like, my brain was melting to the floor. And then Fred says, great thing about this armor, could be anybody inside. So he's deciding he's going to go ahead and pose as Cobra Commander. So here we're back at Barovia. They're going in through the back. We just got, everything here is just laid out so perfectly. You know exactly what's happening. It feels like it's in an actual space. The action is happening. The way Marshall Rogers does certain panels, and especially close-ups like this, you just, the tangibility of the physicality of this Uzi being shoved up into this guy's nose and the blood coming in, it's just incredible. Such an incredible shot. These are the kind of shots that like EC Comics would have done. And then we get some great some other cool action stuff, even though it's like he takes them out with a couple nunchucks, whatever. But this scene where Quick Kick is creeping down this dark corridor, and you just see these very particular highlights, just absolutely perfect. So they go into the jail underneath this building, and they look, and all the cells are empty. And they soon come to realize, whoa, what the hell? We've been set up. what the heck is going on? The dude isn't here. Alarm goes off, and they have to shoot their way out. So the shootout is incredible, tons of fun. You just get like a really even pacing of the action. It feels like you're right in the middle of this action movie. I love these types of sequential art where you even are getting the same panel, but you're getting a time jump of that exact same perspective. Just when people do that and do it well, again, it's just like watching a miniature movie. So they're trying to escape. People are shot. Quick Kick is injured. Snowjob's injured. They're taken off, and they're getting blocked off. The driver gets shot, and so they're trying to figure out what to do. Stalker and Outback are like, okay, we need to get off the truck. The driver basically tells him, I'll cover for you. And then he drives backward into the fray, into the blockade. And Stalker tells Outback, you gotta go. Like, it's time to leave. I'll be here with Outback and Quick Kick, so I'm not going to abandon them, but you've got to go tell headquarters what happened. So that's what he says. The driver backs up into the blockade. Boom. Just gets totally destroyed. Marshall Rogers explosions, just absolutely fantastic. So the soldiers run over, and here we are. Stalker, Snowjobbing, Quick Kick are just blown to shreds, and of course they're like questioning them. Stalker, as a good soldier, is like, I don't know anything. Gets kicked in the head and gets knocked out. And man, you can see the welts on his face. And Outback is actually underneath the sewer drain here, going to escape, and Stalker's blood drips on. Oh, this sequence, just again, as a child, I was like, what? This is so intense and so real. Just so real. It's like reading the comic Nam about Vietnam, which Larry Hama was intimately involved in as well. But we can get into that another episode. Didn't write it, but was involved in it. So here we got the Joes, watching the news, and they're like, all right, well, we got to do something about this. And General Hawk comes in and says, nope, we're not doing anything about it at all. We've been told there'll be no rescue attempts. The word came from on high. Anybody who attempts to defy these orders will be disowned. So, damn. That's the one thing about the comic I never really liked is General Hawk looks like Duke in the comic. I did like General Hawk in the cartoon, that of just having the brown hair. You just help distinguish him from Duke. They look exactly the same. Really cool ad for Captain America. I never collected Captain America back in the day. So yeah, and this, I think this is the last time I might even be able to open this issue, because it is the staple has worked its way through. But this is G.I. Joe number 61. I'm going to go through the rest of the Barovia saga pretty soon. I was probably going to go over it all in one video, but I got stuck on this for too long. Because really, G.I. Joe 61 deserves its own episode. This is the death of Cobra Commander. This is the beginning of Stalker, Snowjob, and Quick Kick being taken prisoner by the Barovian army. I mean, just a lot of really cool, fun, intense things in this issue. Billy and Jinx, and just Marshall Rogers, Larry Hama. Thank you for making my childhood perfect, because this is the perfect comic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, like, subscribe, hit the bell for more notifications, please. I also have my own comics, specifically the Simon Myth Chronicles, that is out now. You can find a link in the description. to check out those if you like. And hey, everybody, stay safe out there and keep it psycho.